Hello, everybody. It's been another 5 days or so since my last post. Just coming on here again this morning to give you an update on how things are going. I believe today would be day 34 of my designing my mental health journey. I have to say it's been a fascinating process, going through this and trying to everything from trying to get a diagnosis to trying to manage the symptoms, trying to keep functioning, throughout my life as I go through this process. Like I said, it's been a fascinating journey so far. It's been, obviously very challenging, but it's also been very enlightening in a lot of ways. And I'm really trying to, do as much as I can with the information that I'm getting out of the process. It's interesting to go through it as both the person who is suffering and the person, who's also trying to be an observer and, gleaning information from it. That being said, I'm really glad that I chose to do this. And, I do plan to continue with it for quite some time. So with regards to symptoms and how things are going, it's funny because every time, and I guess this is a habitual thing, but every time I start feeling like I'm, doing better, I start to feel more well and I start to sleep well and stuff. Uh, it just seems like I get hit with another round of weird symptoms. So, I'm managing that. I'm, staying positive and doing lots of things to help myself and try to find balance and stuff. But that piece has been a real challenge for me because, I have always been a doer. I've always liked to stay very productive and stuff. And so trying to learn to pace myself and, be patient as I go through this process has definitely been a learning curve for me, which is probably part of, what the whole thing is about. Anyways, with regards to symptoms, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm actually feeling really shaky today. Um, I don't that hasn't been the case over the last few days, but it could be, for me, it could be anything from low blood sugar to um, anxiety, stress, who knows. But I am finding I'm really shaky. I have been having an incredible amount of gut issues lately. Again, just trying to stay positive and trying to deal with those. I do think that, the whole digestive thing has been with me, through for quite some time and definitely throughout this process. But I had quite a bad flare up yesterday and, just trying to manage my diet and stuff and make sure that I'm eating the proper foods that that won't exacerbate those symptoms is that's been a bit of a challenge as well. So I have made another appointment with my GP for this coming Friday. I'm hoping to get the blood work back with regards to my thyroid and to see if I'm actually deficient in any vitamins or anything like that. I did finally hear back from Eastern Health. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but I called them this morning. They actually did offer me the same day counseling service. But, as with everything else, they're busy. So when I called this morning, I actually ended up getting an appointment for this coming Thursday. Sleep has been a bit better. I'm extremely grateful for that. Last night was pretty good. I got about 6 hours, and the nights that I am sleeping well, if I'm not suffering from symptoms or from gut issues, I seem to be able to get 6 hours a few nights lately, which is really helpful. I walked. I had a nice long walk yesterday. The weather has been absolutely beautiful. So I'm trying to get out and take advantage of that. I might have gone a little further than I should have, but it's hard to reel that in when you do get the opportunity to get out and get the sunshine and the fresh air. But again, I slept pretty good last night, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm still really trying to lose a bit of weight and get my health under control. So the walking exercise is a big piece. Interesting little story about this past weekend. So me being me, I actually signed up for a 3-day seminar to try to learn some new skills and in consideration of my coaching business and that kind of thing. And I thought it might be a nice way to distract myself from everything that's been going on. And I'm trying to stay productive and stuff like that. If I'm not taking in new information, I don't know what it is with me, but I kind of struggle with that. Like I really like to be taking in new information all the time and focusing on positive things as well, right? So, I find taking in inspirational information. And I mean, I do recognize that sometimes I suffer from information overload, but anyway, I signed up for the 3-day seminar and, I was enjoying it. I was, feeling like you were part of a community of people who were all kind of working on the same kinds of things. That was really good. And it's nice to feel like you're part of a community like that. But of course, about a day and a half into the seminar, when the guy was getting pretty heavy on the sales end of things. And I got about a day and a half in or so, and I just got completely overwhelmed and had to step out. And I actually found I was kind of having some, like, it really triggered my anxiety. And so what I realized from that, because of what's going on with my brain right now, I just found that it was way too much stimulus, and I wasn't able to return to the seminar anyways. I mean, it might have been a bit much for me to bite off. It's, again, that's a habitual thing for me, but, I did get some good stuff out of it, but it was also very interesting because every time, my symptoms get triggered, or every time I find myself in overwhelm, it's like a reality check, right? Like I have to, remind myself that I'm off because I'm ill, and it's this process is not going to be an overnight recovery thing. So it's a hard lesson for me to learn, but it's obviously a really necessary one. So I'm doing everything I can to manage that. Other interesting part about that seminar process was all the emotions and stuff that started to come up, because as we were going through the seminar, there was a lot of people on there, like I said, who were struggling as well. And, they were talking about their own issues and stuff. And I just found that, I had a lot of emotional stuff coming up as I was going through that process. So, lots of things to think about. And something really interesting happens when you try to become the observer in your life, when you can kind of try to step back and watch yourself and witness everything that's happening to you, when you actually allow yourself the time to do that. It's really interesting because I'm noticing, I'm picking up patterns all over the place that, I don't necessarily think I was aware of before. So, that's been a good thing. So I've really been struggling with the whole issue of being off work and feeling unproductive, and especially on the days that that I'm struggling the most. And so, yesterday, like I said, I got up, I tried to do some stuff. I ended up going for a walk, and I was doing some reading and stuff, but I ended up getting hit with a really bad flare up with my digestive system. And, I couldn't do much for hours. And I I find that part, it's a bit of a struggle. So even though I come on here and I do these videos, and and this is something I think it's a really important point to touch on, because some people may watch the videos, and I may look okay, I may sound okay, and it some people may find themselves struggling with the whole concept of, well, what's really going on. But um, I think it's important to understand, and I think that this is the case in so many, with so many people who are suffering from something similar to this, is that, and I keep having to remind this of, to myself as well, is that this has to do with trauma. This is it's like a, I don't know if it is a brain injury, but it's like a brain injury. So my brain is, it has been damaged in some way, shape, or form. And that's why it's so difficult to, even allow yourself the time and the recognition, as to, when you're going through something like this, because there's there there's just an awful lot of pressure, and I think a lot of it is social conditioning. I recognize that a lot of that pressure is internal. I mean, I've certainly not been getting, any negative comments or anything like that from other people, but it's social conditioning, right? So, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to record these videos. I wanted to go through this process, and make it public and put it out there, is because people just, it's so difficult for people to understand it when you haven't gone through it. But, traumatic brain injuries, and in any kind of brain injury at all. And I mean, I've had even concussions before, but it's very, it's a difficult challenge because it's invisible. People can't actually see it. And so that's one of the pieces that you struggle with all the time. So, I'm trying to teach myself to accept, what it is that I'm going through. And, I think a lot of it is about trying to find a new normal. And I have no idea how long this is going to take. I have, read or heard that, it can take up to 2 years to recover from, this kind of thing. I certainly hope not, but, I'm really, really glad I recognized it when I did. And I started to take care of it, because I can't imagine how much worse things would have gotten if I did not stop and recognize that something was really, really amiss, with myself and my brain and my system. Uh, I talked about the guilt before, and the guilt part, again, I think a huge part of it is the social conditioning. Um, I'm trying to be gentle with myself through that process, but again, it's a challenge. It's one of those places where it's a habitual thing, right? If I'm not productive, then, I guess it kind of comes down to self-worth in some ways. And I mean, I know I can recognize that I'm very, that I've been very active throughout this process, trying to record it, trying to share it, trying to document it and stuff like that. And so, I try to focus on those positive pieces, on the days that I'm really struggling, with the guilt and the anxiety and stuff about being off work, and, and what this looks like. Um, Interestingly enough, I have been working with the EAP counselor. I've had probably 3 sessions with her now. The third session was better. Again, I found that I had to kind of take a lead role in that process and keep directing her back to, what my issues are. Counselors are people too, and sometimes, I feel, and your timing is so short. If you have like a 1 hour call, you want to make sure that you're trying to utilize every second of every call, because it's just such a critical, you recognize it's such a critical piece for you. So I've been really trying to, to figure that out as to how that looks and how it works, and what's the best way to utilize that. But it's interesting because again, this stuff, it doesn't come natural to you, right? Like, it's one thing to get yourself to the point where you can accept help, where you're ready to have the conversation and stuff about everything that's been going on. But especially, I guess, because it's new, um, it's a bit of a process to even figure out how to work with the counselors and how to make that system work for you. And again, you have to play the lead role, right? You have to be willing to step up and redirect people if they're kind of going off on a tangent or telling stories about people that they know and stuff. And I mean, yes, sometimes those things can be helpful too, but 15 minutes of a story during a 1 hour call where you're trying to process everything that you're dealing with, it's a chunk of time, right? So I'm trying to navigate my way through that anyways, and but I'm grateful, don't get me wrong. It's wonderful to be able to have the resources, and I am really looking forward to planning for my next counseling session. This one being with Eastern Health on Thursday. So this morning I actually tried to sit down and put some thoughts together about what issues I want to address with that particular counselor, because there's a lot, right? And I mean, if I've been struggling, my whole life, which in a lot of ways I have, there's a lot there to unpack. And so trying to plan for that and make the process as effective as possible, I think is a really key piece. Um, so one of the things I'm recognizing lately is that I really have to learn to pace myself as I go through this. Take a step back and try to take it one day at a time, which even that, it's difficult, right? Because I'm constantly looking to the future, about what I'm going to do and what I want to do, and how it's all going to work and everything else. But that's not what this process is about, right? This process is about recovery, and I have to keep reminding myself of that. So, but it's good that I have I do have to say that I have had some insight around that. I'm able to recognize now a lot faster when I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. Like when I start to get jittery, or I need to eat, or I may need to drink some water. I may need to get some rest. You know, it's a learning curve, but it's I think it's going as well as it possibly could. And I mean, again, the people who are reaching out to me, the people who are checking in on me on a regular basis and stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't express how how important that's been and how wonderful it is to have the support as I'm going through this. So that's about it for today. The one thing that I will ask is I did share that video again this morning on my personal page, with regards to how you can help when somebody is suffering from mental illness. I can't stress enough, please, please, please share that video in particular, because I just think it's so important to get this out there. And, there's not many people doing what I'm doing. And so, this isn't about me. Like I've said many times, I know I'm going to get through this, and I have a good amount of faith that I'm going to get through this, and I have a lot of tools and stuff at my disposal, but there's a lot of people who don't. And, my heart breaks every time I'm on Facebook and I see another child who's gone missing, another, adult who's gone missing, and, they end up, being found. And it seems like there's been a whole slew of that happening again lately. So, the mental health piece is so important. This could be your loved one. This could be, somebody who's really, really close to you. And, we need to pay attention to this stuff. It's not something that we should be kind of, pushing aside and, just saying that doesn't impact me, because, man, there's so many people out there struggling. And, I really sincerely hope that, with my, ability to come on here and share what my experience has been, and share some tips and tools and stuff and strategies, it's just so important. It really, really is. So please, please, share that particular video on how to help, and keep following along. And don't be afraid to direct anybody, to my Forward Coaching Facebook page, or even to my personal page. And and make sure that they understand that there's lots of resources out there available. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks very much. I hope you get out and enjoy some of the sunshine today. And thank God the spring is here and the temperatures are warming up. So that's wonderful. So thanks again, and I'll check in with you soon. Bye for now.